Hey guys, I hope you're doing well today. Today, I'm going to show you how to get consistent low end because if there's one thing that I can say that is separating the pro mix from the amateur sounding mix, it's that the low end is not consistent, sort of is there sometimes, not there other times. I'm going to show you how to fix that. So let's jump in here. I've got a mix right here from a great artist out of Nashville. This track here in orange in the middle is a bass synth track, and I'm gonna play it in context of the song here. So I'm just gonna play it with the song so we can hear what we're working with. All right, so I like this bass. This bass sounds good, but it's not consistent. We have a lot of fluctuation in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go grab a stock EQ. So this is Reaper, but your DAW will have just a stock EQ, or if there's an EQ you prefer using, that's fine. I'm going to take this and I'm just going to low pass it so that, I'm just going to keep it right here where it did it automatically. So right here around 200 hertz, we're just rolling off everything above it. So all we've got from 200 hertz down. And so now we've just got a blob of constant low end. I'm going to solo this so we can just work with the bass so that you can see what it is that I'm doing. So on this track, I've got just consistent low end, and I'm just going to go grab a stock compressor, and I'm just going to move the ratio up to say 3 or 4 to 1. And I'm going to move this down, this threshold down, and just catch the peaks of this bass because I want just a solid, consistent low end. So as I play this, you'll see that we've got. So now I'm just grabbing the peaks here with this bass, and there's a good example where I was catching, say, 1 or 2 dB of gain reduction, then all of a sudden it jumps up to like 6 dB of gain reduction. Let's watch that. So I'm catching the peaks, at -2, -1, and then all of a sudden I jump up to like -7. This is causing inconsistency in the low end. This is whether we're playing a live bass, so you've got an actual bass player playing. It becomes really apparent. But even here on a synth bass, which should be even, it's just not. So I do this on every bass, no matter no matter whether it's live or electronic in some way. So I've got an EQ. I'm just rolling off the top end, just keeping the low end information. I've got a compressor. And we're at like 32, 33 on the threshold. And the ratio is here about 3 or 4 to 1. And then I'm just going to just duplicate. I'm going to just copy this effect, and I'm going to bring it down. So now that I've added 2 compressors, the first one is just, like I said, 3 or 4 to 1, and it's just catching the peaks. This second one, though, is what I want to do is I want to almost limit this bass. I almost want to put a limiter on it. And there's some debate as to how much compression actually creates a limiter. But if you move this up to where the ratio is around, say, 20, 21, 22, 23 to 1, we are sort of creating a hard brick wall where I just get a consistent low end, consistent amount of information that really doesn't fluctuate in volume a whole lot. So now my low end is done as far as my information below 200. But if you play this, we don't really have any high information because remember, we rolled it all off. So what I want to do is I want to do pretty much the same thing. I want to duplicate pretty much what I've done, only on this second track, and I might call this high. On the second track, I don't want to cut off the high information. I want to cut off the low end information. So I'm going to go grab this and I'm going to create a high pass. And once again, it did it right about 200 hertz. It's rolling off everything below 200 hertz. So I had my information that was 200 hertz and below, and now I've got my information that's 200 hertz and above. Now my compression is going to be different, so I'm gonna move this up my my threshold, and I'm gonna play this again. And I'm gonna try to find my spot where I'm catching those peaks. Once again, you're wanting to catch the peaks and make it even. So here I was catching peaks, at almost minus 49. Yours will be different, but you're just wanting to get it to where it's catching the peaks. And then again, I'm going to have almost a brick wall limiter with this last compressor. So I've got one track that's just got low end information coming out, and then I've got another track that's just got the high end information coming out. And if I play these two together, what this allows me to do is, as I'm mixing, if I say, I don't have enough of that super low information, I've got a track that I can adjust specifically for just the information from 200 hertz and below. And then now I've got another track with just the high end information in the bass. So if you've got the bass guitarist, you're doing a mix, and they come back to you and say, I just can't hear the bass. I want to hear the bass and the runs. What you're going to want to do then is, you've got two tracks. I mean, is the low end consistent? Or are they complaining about not being able to hear the definition in the bass? So now you've got a track that has the definition in the bass that you can adjust. You can just move that up, and it's not going to affect the low end that you've built with the bass and the kick. The other thing that you can do, if you've got just a normal bass, this one's synth, and it's got it's got some distortion in it. It's got some character in it, so I'm probably not going to do it on this particular bass. But if you've got just a DI, like a bass DI straight in, that's not running through an amp, it really doesn't have any character, you can create another, just duplicate the high bass track, the one where we low passed everything out, and just add some distortion on there and just bring that in underneath. Or if you've got like an amp emulator, like a Sans amp or something like that, you can add those effects on this other one and just bring it in underneath. So you could just duplicate this. I'll go ahead and do it. You can just duplicate this high bass that just has the high end information coming through. This one where we high passed everything. And you could come and just add another effect and add, a virtual amp or whatever you wanted. In this one, this is not really necessary. But what you want to do after you've got these, I'm just going to insert a new track. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create a send. I'm going to send both of these to a bus. So I'm just going to call this like bass bus. And then I'll turn off the master send. So these are just going to that bus, and that's it. And then what you're able to do is work with both of these as just one track by just by working with this bass bus. So you might want to put, say, another compressor on there, and sort of just make sure you've evened it out. So if I play this, I might put a compressor on there just to catch some more of those peaks. But I want to show you a plugin. Every now and again, it'll be free. Otherwise, it costs you $20, $30, whatever it is. But our bass really does a magnificent job of sort of compressing and adding a lot of low end presence to a mix. I know everything else up to this point is free, and if you do those things, it really will take your mix to the next level. But if you get a chance to use our bass, and I am not sponsored by Waves or anything, but our bass really does add a lot of character and a lot of low end. This is just, I just pulled it up, so this is just how it comes out of the box, so to speak. Now I'm going to play this. And this really does add, it just adds some character, some depth, some fullness. So you might think of our bass as sort of doing two things. One, kind of being a compressor, almost like a multi-band compressor in a way, but it's also sort of saturation. So we're adding more harmonics and we're adding a little more distortion. You have to be careful when you're using our bass, though, especially now. You can use it on the kick, you can use it on the bass, you can experiment around. You can probably use it on lots of different things. You got to be careful, because if you start adding a whole bunch of our bass to the kick, to the bass drum, and to the bass guitar, what you're going to get is you're going to get sort of an overpowering when you go to the car and do your car test, and it really will be slamming, which might be what you want, but our bass will allow you to do those things. So if we listen to this song again, where we were kind of losing that bass, and then we were having some inconsistency where some parts were soft and some parts were really loud. As we listen to it now, see that bass. That bass really stands out. And what I would do is now mix with just this bass bus as my overall mix if I wanted it louder or softer. But I know I've got a consistent low end coming through. I know I've got a consistent high end coming through. And so I'd be able to adjust the bass bus fader independently of the other ones. Or if I needed more presence, I could come over here and, adjust the volume on the highs on the bass. Or if I needed more low end, just on the lows. But this is what the pros are doing when it comes to mixing bass. And it really does allow you to have some independence and some flexibility in mixing the bass, and you will get a consistent low end, which will make your mix sound more professional, because you can get professional mixes at home. I'm just trying to give you some of the tips and tricks on how to do that. So I really do hope this helped. If there's something you need, or if there's a way you mix bass that you think is better, send it to me. I want to know about all these tips and tricks. If you need something, reach out to me. I'll be glad to help you.